So this path is the path to all paths for you. Okay, I get it. Knowing the different kinds of traumas is helpful beyond knowing what trauma is. I believe it is a bonus to comprehending trauma itself. So are you ready to walk this path? All right. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell, ensuring that you never miss out when your sis guides you with another journey. Because it is my joy to serve and guide you as your big sis. Wait a minute. I just assumed I was your big sis. You might see me as your little sis. In your mind, I might be your little sis. You know what? However it goes, I'm here. Hold on. So if you see my logo, I'm in the little purple head inside the big head. So technically, I am the little sis. Oh, but I'm guiding you like a big sis. Okay. This is too much. I'm tripping. I need to stop going too deep with it. But for real, I am the little sis. But I want to, okay. Let's begin. Before I begin on this pathway, I want to say before I forget, if you find this video helpful or informative, please give it a thumbs up. This helps the video reach a wider audience, making it more visible to others who might benefit from it, especially when it comes to knowing just some of the common traumas that many deal with regularly. Now, in my discussions on mental health, I try to keep it simple and light, but I do know that everyone's experiences and sensitivities are unique, and I want to, as your sis, respect that. If you feel that any of the mentioned triggers in this video might adversely affect your well-being, in this case, I encourage you to prioritize your mental and emotional health and refrain from watching this video. And for the rest of y'all, let's get it. Well, common trauma. How can I put this? It is many different types across the board. And I just learned many over a period of time in one of my classes, but I am going to keep it simple and just name some that you can definitely research on your own. I will name some on the web and some I learned about in peer review articles, okay? So I'm just going to mix them all in there. We have penetrating trauma, domestic violence, physical abuse, verbal abuse, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, blunt trauma, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Gotta spell it for you too. You even have being neglected. That's a form of trauma. And you even can experience spiritual or religious abuse. Being in an accident or natural disaster, traumatic loss, childhood trauma, early childhood trauma, emotional neglect, and attachment trauma. You know what? I am going to do a group of 7 interactive videos on attachment styles. Yeah, that's a good idea. What do you guys think? Because I know that's something that I dealt with. And I know it's very important to know if you are attached. Okay, so back to the types. We have prolonged grief disorder, major trauma, being physically attacked or assaulted, and some don't even think about the ones I'm about to mention because we don't talk about them enough, right? And we don't put them in a category with trauma. But witnessing domestic abuse or violence, seeing something abusive or violent is trauma, y'all. It's trauma. Or witnessing bodily harm or death, witnessing community violence, which is going around all over the world right now, and even being exposed to wars or school violence as well. Those are traumas. Even being in high stress environments, bullying is one, and a hidden one is medical trauma. Just how they treat you when you come in, if it becomes a repeated occurrence, you can develop trauma over time. Another one close to medical trauma is health-related problems. And the last one I am going to mention, I really don't want to, but it is true. You can even throw in sibling abuse. See, I'm your sis, and we are all siblings here. So I don't really like the last one, but I hope this is a safe place for you and you don't experience sibling abuse here. That is why I hope to see comments more towards helping each other than tearing down each other. And we know that childhood trauma is real. And I believe I have mentioned most of the childhood experiences, except for abandonment. But I don't think I said that one. So, okay. Sibling abuse and childhood experiences, all these things is wrapped in trauma. That was a really long list, and now I think it's a good idea if we take our mental break. I'm going to keep it short and straightforward. Please tell me if you can identify with any of the traumatic experiences I described. How did you feel about it? Add your 2 cents to the discussion by clicking the comments button, and I will really appreciate it. I think we might have some interesting conversations. Now, let's take our breathing break. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. All right, now we are about to go there. We are going deep, okay? Trauma not gonna like this. Exposing trauma, yeah, that's my style. I like to play it straight, right? No, I'm just playing. But in all seriousness, let's start with acute. Imagine for a moment that you are on a beach with good people around you. The day is beautiful, the wind is blowing gracefully, and the waves are bringing a calm sound to your ears. You are just really enjoying the peaceful sounds of nature. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a massive thunderstorm or tornado touches down without any warning. This sudden intense thunderstorm or tornado represents acute trauma. So let's think about it like that, okay? It is represented as one traumatic event that is short, kind of like a car accident, an assault, earthquakes, or fires. Something that was just brought on all of a sudden. And just like the tornado depiction, it was unexpected and overwhelming that can shake anyone and anything to its core. It took the peace away. And just like that, acute trauma can do the same, disrupting everything in our lives, especially our safety and stability. Now, we are unstable, and that's the challenge, because just like the thunderstorm or tornado, things can be uprooted, and the landscape may drastically change. The beach doesn't look the same, right? People are hurt on the scene, and things that are around are damaged, similarly like acute trauma. It causes damage to our emotional well-being. Our minds go through a mental storm, y'all. Sometimes we are in shock and we start to deal with distress, confusion, fear, and grief. And don't let me get on how the after effects play out, just like the storm or tornado. I know I keep putting tornado in there because I'm just scared of them. I don't know. They scare me, y'all. But yeah, even when the event passed, just like the beach, our minds are left with the aftermath, like emotional scars, changes to our perception of the world, paranoia, and trust issues with life. And we need time to heal and recover. Some don't recover, but they learn how to manage when they feel it rising. Acute trauma is hard to prepare for because you never know when it can hit, right? Now, let's talk about chronic trauma. Unlike acute trauma, Chronic occurs following a series of events like repeated abuse or exposure to repeated natural disasters. It's like running an Ironman race. If you don't know what that is, it's a race consisting of a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bicycle ride, and a marathon 26.22 run completed in that order. A total altogether of 140.6 miles. It is considered one of the most difficult one-day sporting events in the world, according to Wikipedia. But anywho, I say that to say this. Just imagine you are one of the runners taking on this long and grueling race that seems to have no end. That is what I want you to sit on right quick, okay? Think about how the marathon just seems very hard. And that, my friend, represents chronic trauma because you face a series of obstacles, challenges, and hardships that will test your endurance. It's rough, just like chronic trauma. It's ongoing and prolonged exposure to stressful or traumatic things that just keep happening and continue to really challenge you, the runner. Resilience. And as you keep pushing forward, trying to live life with these repeated events, you become exhausted, tired, and just mentally done, despite your best effort, feeling like you can't catch a break. This mirrors the experience of people who faces chronic trauma, with the consistent exposure to stressors leading them to emotional exhaustion, feeling of no hope, and a sense of being trapped in a never-ending cycle. And just like the Ironman runner, they are met with exhaustion and setbacks like tripping, needing water to move on, and they struggle with keeping a steady pace. That's what chronic runners feel sometimes, that they can't maintain a sense of stability due to all the setbacks after the repeated exposures. Now, the last one I want to speak about is complex trauma. Sort of like chronic trauma, it can be ongoing and it can be multiple traumatic events. But what makes it complex is when it's carried on by a trusted person, especially during childhood. It can be any abuse carried by a caregiver or a family member, and the betrayal that happens complicates things. It's just madness, y'all. Complex trauma is not easily understood, and it would take a lot to get to the root of it because it overlaps with negative things, jumbled with harmful events, layers upon layers. It leaves people broken and with years of anger and trust issues and violence and fear and more. But it's a beautiful garden somewhere in all of it. But the tangled vines and the towering trees of emotions make it hard to see the vibrant flowers because of the patches of thorny bushes that represents what? Painful and traumatic experiences that shape the lives of people who deal with complex trauma. It's hard to clear away the thorny bushes that will uncover the hidden beauty beneath childhood abuse. No matter the abuse, it often has interpersonal consequences long term, and if effort and patience are not present, it can destroy future relationships, whether that's romantic relationships, work relationships, parent and child relationships, and even relationships with oneself. I know I said it's hard, but if it's worked on, the emotional garden can be cleared, making room for vibrant flowers blooming with joy, love, and appreciation of life. So, before I get into the signs and symptoms of trauma, I want to say each person's experience is unique, and I am not making light of how severe and difficult it can be. And not all the signs or symptoms are the same for everyone. I have seen it on all levels. Let me not say all levels. I'll just say on many levels with many different responses to those levels. Okay? I stopped myself from saying all levels because I know that there are some out there that I have not seen. And just because I have had my share of observations with individuals who deal with trauma, including myself, I cannot say that I have seen it all, Now, moving on, let's explore the signs and symptoms. Trauma can bring on cognitive changes like nightmares, flashbacks, confusion, mood swings that stir up intense emotions, feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or constantly on edge, irritability, compulsions, shock, obsessions, hyperarousal, hypervigilance, constantly demanding attention. Emotional numbing can be one as well. Shame, guilt, detachment, unexplained aches and pains. That one hits home for me, but let's keep going. Altered eating patterns, muscle tension, digestive issues, headaches, extreme exhaustion, continually thinking about the traumatic event, being startled easily. A major one that I have observed is constantly feeling on guard, as if waiting for the next threat to emerge. Truthfully, that one is one that I have to simmer in because I know that I am like that. I fight and always try to be ready for the next difficult situation. And I realized life does not always work like that. I just can't be spending so much energy on future threats to the point where I can't enjoy today's peaceful times. I know, as your sis, I am asking you for a lot. But I am your sis, and I believe I have the right to get on your nerves from time to time, right? I would think. Probably not, I guess. You are probably saying not in our household, sis. Yeah, you're probably right. We, as siblings, don't want to start no problems where there is none. Okay, then, as your sis, who is not allowed to get on your nerves, say thank you for sticking around. And if you feel the content was useful in some sort of way, please consider sharing it. This allows people that you care for to discover this channel and the content I create. Remember, your actions make a real difference in helping this channel grow. This channel is all about giving you choices, opportunities, and actions to try. ConscienSiS is in the his house, and I ain't going nowhere. I love having fun with you, but now I have to ask, are you ready to dig into the symbolic actions that can have you really getting down to the nitty-gritty? Which action will you choose? Symbolic action 1, trauma recovery journey, where I break down phases and do an exercise with you, or symbolic action 2, trauma bonding versus bonding over trauma. Go ahead and decide. I'll be waiting.